Welcome back to Couch Talk, everybody. Tonight I had the opportunity to see the newest film, Borderlands, directed by Eli Roth, and some would say Tim Miller as well. In this movie, it takes place around this planet called Pandora, and on said planet is this vault that is hidden from everybody, and it contains secrets to the evolution of mankind and technology, and whoever would wield that, whoever finds it, would essentially rule all the galaxy. This movie starts off with a character named Tina, who we all know from the video games. If you've played them, it's this little girl who is abducted by Kevin Hart's character Roland for reasons that I won't spoil here for anyone that wants to go and see this movie. Her father, Atlas, played by this guy, hires Lilith to go and track her down on the planet Pandora and get her back to him because she is very important. Upon going to Pandora to retrieve Tina, she realizes that something more sinister is afoot, and she decides to team up with not only Tina, but Kevin Hart's character, this guy, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Jack Black's Claptrap, famous from the video game, to go to the vault before everybody else and stops this sinister thing from happening. That is all I'll say about the story to avoid spoilers here. Now, look, guys, I've seen the Rotten Tomatoes scores. It's pretty fucking abysmal. And I'm gonna start off with saying this is not a good movie, but I don't think it is as bad as a 6% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, for those of you who don't know, that does not mean that out of everyone that has seen the movie, they are rating it a 6 out of 100. It means that out of every 100 people that have seen this movie, 6 likes it. Am I one of them? Well, it's complicated. Because on one hand, this movie does get a lot wrong, but it gets some stuff right too. And being that I do love filmmaking, I could appreciate all the hard work that went behind this film, so I'm a little biased when it comes to watching certain movies, because a movie could be really bad, but if the lighting is good and there's good fight scenes, I'm pretty forgiving on it. I'm also a huge fan of this franchise. I've played every single one, and although they stray from the path of the lore created in the games, there's enough there that's recognizable from the games, like these little Easter eggs, that I had fun watching it in those moments. Let's start off with the good. The good stuff, the action. I thought the action was a lot of fun here, and I'm willing to bet my bottom dollar that Tim Miller is the guy that came in to direct the action during those reshoots that they did for this film, because this movie is filmed in a very bland, vanilla way for most of it, but then once the action kicks in, it gets really entertaining and it's really stylized, and you can tell that a professional is directing the action. I also liked the chemistry between the cast. I know that that's one of the things that a lot of people are complaining about, that the chemistry isn't there, but I disagree. I mean, yes, it feels like Walmart Guardians of the Galaxy or Dollar Store Guardians of the Galaxy, but I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I still had fun with it, and although it is not as good as what it was striving to be in terms of recreating that Guardians of the Galaxy vibe, it was good enough that I was entertained watching them bond. And as much as the CGI here, I will get into the fact that it is bad in my negatives of this movie, as much as the CGI is bad, there are some really good set pieces that were practically built here that I had a lot of fun watching them fight people in. And I'm also a little forgiving on the weak CGI because, look, at the end of the day, this movie, if they were to create it in a realistic fashion and look perfect, would have been a $200 million movie, a $300 million movie. And it's not like this is the third film in a franchise or an Avengers film where you could just throw money at something like that and you know there's a built-in audience that's going to show up to watch it. They were taking a risk making this movie because just because there's a big video game audience doesn't mean that there's going to be a big movie audience showing up to watch an adaptation of a video game. So they made this movie for like $110 million, and I feel like they wanted to create this big world of Pandora, which is essentially Dune meets Mad Max, but on steroids. And the only way they could do that within their budget is to CGI a lot of the backgrounds, a lot of the landscapes, but give us some nice practical sets. So a lot of people are complaining about the CGI, but it's like, I've seen worse CGI in Oscar-nominated movies. It's just, when the story's that good, people are more forgiving. And here, like I said, the story is bland. It's really just a road trip movie where it's resting on the shoulders of, are you having fun watching these people bond and kill a bunch of faceless bad guys? And I did. I did have fun watching them kill a bunch of faceless bad guys. The standout here for me is, in fact, Lilith, played by Cate Blanchett. She can do no wrong. She is one of the best actresses on the planet. I love her in everything that she's in. Some people thought that she was kind of phoning it in here, but I thought that she was pretty accurately represented based off of the character that she's representing in Lilith. She's pretty accurate to who Lilith is in the game. I also thought Jack Black as Claptrap was really funny. He had the funniest moments of this film for me. A lot of his jokes did fall flat, but a lot of his moments had me laughing my guts out. I also thought that the girl that played Tina did a fantastic job honing her inner Harley Quinn. That's essentially who she is, but as a child. Also, this guy, who he's hidden behind a mask for most of this movie, I don't know his name, but he was also the villain in Creed 2, Drago's son. I thought he did good here. His dialogue was kind of cheesy, but that's kind of the way that those characters are in the video game. It's just in the video game, the characters that he plays are always bad guys spewing out cheesy shit as you're about to kill them. Here, he's a main character spewing out cheesy shit, so, like, he played the part well, but just 2 hours of that is too much. But he also had some of the best hand-to-hand fight scenes. He is a tank in this movie, and I enjoyed every fight scene that he was in. And as much as I love Kevin Hart, I really do, he's just playing Kevin Hart in this movie. He's not playing the character Roland accurately, but I still had fun watching him. I just had to turn my brain off from the fact that this isn't the Roland from the video games. It's just Kevin Hart dressed as Roland and being a badass. I'm also guilty of, I enjoy watching characters that are known for one thing like comedy tackle something else like action or drama, and I thought that he held his own here. He did a good job at his action scenes. He's not really asked a lot of in terms of hand-to-hand combat, but he kills a bunch of people with some really cool weapons, so that was cool. That being said, the bad definitely outweighs the good, for sure. The villain in this movie is just ass. He's just total fucking ass. I feel like this guy that plays the villain, I don't know his name, but every time he's in a movie, you just know the movie's gonna have awful reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know. I haven't seen this guy's all of his work, so I don't know. Maybe he does have some great movies out there. But from the movies that I've seen him in, they're always terrible. Like that Point Break remake that they did. And like I said, as forgiving as I am about the CGI, it does pull you out of it sometimes where you're watching these awesome sets and then out of nowhere it looks like you're watching a cutscene from a PS2 video game. This movie is also very guilty of a lot of MacGuffins, a lot of just conveniences to drive the plot from point A to point B, where they're trying to figure something out, and it's like you open a drawer and there's a thing you need just conveniently right there. The story is also very painfully mediocre, but I kind of expected that going into this because the games are just about, you're in this world Pandora, you're going to start off with nothing, you're going to kill a bunch of bad guys, upgrade your shit until you're a badass, and then you're going to go into this vault and collect your riches. They're not the Shawshank of Redemption of plots, but I was able to kind of tell my brain, like, I know what I'm getting into. I'm going to go into a 2-hour movie of just nonsensical sci-fi violence while they try to get to this vault and collect their reward. So I wasn't expecting that much of a story, but I could understand why a lot of people would be put off with the fact that there's really not a story in this. But yeah, guys, I don't know. I mean, like I said before, I'm a little biased because I love the world of filmmaking and what goes into making a movie. So I'm always going to give a movie the benefit of the doubt. It has to be real fucking bad for me to be like, yeah, this movie's a 1 out of 10. I truly don't believe it deserves the score that it's getting on Rotten Tomatoes. I just think most critics that are certified and able to make a review on Rotten Tomatoes aren't video game players. And I think this movie was made particularly for the fans. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was made well, but there's enough in it as a fan of the game that I appreciated it a lot more than if I was someone that never played the games and I'm like, what is this nonsense? There's not even a fucking story. The villain sucks. It's just mindless action. It's like, yeah, but that's what I liked about the game, the mindless action, and I got that. Honestly, this movie's biggest detriment, I think, is taking it from an R rating and bringing it down to a PG-13, because that game is so violent with blood and guts exploding, and they took that all out of this, and I feel like that would have been the driving force of seeing this hyper-violent R-rated adaptation of this video game. So when you take it out, it feels almost like a watered-down, hollow version of this game that you love. That being said, like I said, I enjoyed the chemistry between the characters. I enjoyed the violence, even though it was only PG-13 and not R. I thought it was very stylized. Again, I'm willing to bet that Tim Miller directed it because it did feel very Deadpool 1-like type of violence in terms of like the choreography and how stylized it was. Like, this movie isn't as bad as those mid-2000s video game adaptations like House of the Dead. Like, those movies were horrendous. I put this more on the level of like the Uncharted film with Tom Holland. Another passable, enjoyable film that kind of fails to live up to the video game source material, but still enjoyable nonetheless. I think they swung big here. They tried to throw everything at the fence and see what stuck, and for me, it only half worked. I'm going to give this movie a 5 out of 10. I don't regret seeing it. I'm going to buy the Blu-ray and probably watch it again just because I enjoy mindless action movies sometime when I want to turn my brain off. So yeah, 5 out of 10. I recommend it if you like the games, but just go in knowing that it's one of those fun, bad movies. Anyway, I hope I gave you guys good enough opinions about this to make an opinion for yourself, whether you want to see this movie or not. I would love to talk about it in the comments down below. I'm genuinely curious what, like, fans of this game think. If they're kind of middle of the road on the fence like I am with a 5 out of 10, or if you really just fucking hate this movie, or maybe some people are going to walk out of this and absolutely love it. I don't know. Let's talk about it down below. And as always, guys, I'll catch you next time.